everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bilikis. How you all doing? Welcome back to a new tutorial. If today is your first time of checking out this channel, you're welcome, and please make sure you subscribe. You can also check out my other channel, Pattern Drafting with Bilikis and Bilikis Kitchen. You can follow me on Instagram, Bilikis Signatures, and on Facebook, Sewing Innovations. Then for our monthly online classes and sewing tools, you can get that through the contact number in the description box below. So just get in touch with us. Back to today's class, which will be on how to make a bustier top with cups with yoke. The previous one we made was for a medium-sized person. So this particular class will be for a plus-size person, for a bust 42. So in case you've been wondering how to go about corset, as it's popularly called, for plus-size person, today is the day. So right now let's get to work, and then we'll be making another design of the cup compared to the one we made the last time. Can you see? We will be making this style for the cup. So just get ready. All you need is your basic bodice pattern, which I have here. In case you don't know how to draft a simple basic bodice pattern, I will put the link in the description box below. That's like the basics. So we are doing all those corsets from just the simple basic bodice pattern. So you need to know how to do that. And the previous one we did for the medium size, I will also put that in the link. So right now let's go to work. Here I have my basic bodice pattern with the underbust measurements imputed. That is from the nape of your neck to your underbust, directly under your bust. So for her, it is 14.5 inches, which I just mark out with a pencil, but every other thing is just your normal basic bodice. Now the first thing we are just going to do is to just map out the bust radius, just as we did from the previous class. How do you get that? That's simply the distance from the bust line to the underbust line. This is the chest line, this is the bust point line, that is the highest part of the boobs. This is under the bust, and then this is the waist. So you just need to get the measurement here. So for her it is 4. Like for the medium we worked with last week was just 3 inches. So for her, for you to know this person is busty, it is 4 inches. Some could even be as much as 4.5. And then you look, you wonder how you go about the bust radius, which I will explain now. So since I have 4 inches, all you have to do now is from this bust point line, you need to mark 4 inches all around. There are situations whereby if the bust pan of the person is not so wide enough, the bust radius circle might come out of this particular place. There should be a space, but you don't need to worry about that. We'll talk about that now. So I'll just use this for the bust radius. So that's it. So all I have to do is to put that on the bust point, and then here. So with that, I know I have my bust radius. So in case you don't have, you can just measure with your measuring tape. So you rotate it all around. So can you see what I'm talking about? You can see it is exactly here, but you don't need to worry. This is just to get all the necessary curves. So good, we are through with that. The next thing will be for the space in between. So you might be wondering, it's getting to this point, but you don't need to worry about that at all. It's for us to just get the upper part, and especially under the bust. So now how low you want it to be depends on your preference. So between 1/2 inch to 1 inch below the chest line is fine. So let's just make 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch is there. So from that point, just go in by 1/2 inch. So for a plus size person, you could just make it not up to 3/4 inch, maybe 1/2, and then a extra bar on your measuring tape. Then you're going to come back here. Then on this underbust line, you're just going to take 1/2 inch on both sides of the dart. So this is where the dart is. So just measure 1/2 inch backward, from here 1/2 inch forward. So from that point, connect to the waist dart. Good. The next thing is for us to connect this curve. So now this is the point of the space. So just connect from here. Make sure the straighter part of the curve is here. Can you see that? So good. Let's quickly talk about the dart for the upper part. So all you have to do is to take the distance between the 3 inches and the 8 inches standard. So you have to determine what your shoulder is. Here, a shoulder measurement is 8 inches. So from the 3 to the 8, I will just take the measurement there, which is 5 inches. Half of 5 inches is 2.5. So connect to the bust points. So good. Now come back to the under bust and take whatever measurement you have there. So here I have 1 3/4 inches for the dart at the under bust. So we have to report that here. Since it's 1 3/4, so half an inch will be on this side and 1 1/4 will be on the other side. So half an inch is here, and on the other side 1 1/4. Okay, so everything sum total to 1 3/4. At that point, just connect to the bust point. Good. We're taking in the dart. The thing I spoke about in the previous one is, especially when you're making for a busted top or a corset without yoke, I will advise you to come up by 1/4 to half an inch to cover up a bit, except you want to show off some flesh. In case you want to come up, you can check the previous video on that, but I'm just going to maintain this since it is with yoke. So the yoke is still going to pull it up a little. So now back to the side so that we can make the curve for the side. All you have to do is to measure 2.5 inches from the side here. 2.5. Just as we did from the last class, come down by half an inch. So for a plus size person that wants to make ordinary top or 2 corsets, you can use this method too. Good. So the next thing is to make the curves. So now from this darts, I will make a curve. Gently do that into the middle space. Can you see? Then I'll come to this side. So from this half an inch, I'm just going to blend it up to the other side of the dart. Okay, so that's done. After doing that, the next thing is to make the curve. So from this half inch you came down by, I'm just going to make the curve. And you see that? That's just perfect. Next thing is to now come here, adjust this from the dart. You see that? So beautiful. So the last thing we need to do is this. You need to take in some darts at this upper part, some contouring just to make it fitted. You don't want it gaping at all. Like from this one I have here, you can see it's covering up, it's not opening up at all. So that's what I want to achieve. So I'll just advise you, for a medium-sized person, you could just go in 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. But for a plus-size person, make sure you take 1/2 an inch from both sides. Come here to 1/2 an inch. So those are just extra measures to make it fitted. Can you see? So to use the straighter part of the curl and then link it up. You see how beautiful that is. So extra thing I like to do is to measure here. Okay, 4. Okay, I have 4 here too, so that's perfect. So that means we still maintain the bust radius. You can see that's formed. So from our previous class on the corset, we made use of this type of curl, but I just wanted us to learn this other type we have here. So all you have to do is this. So come to this side, measure between 2 and 2.5. Like for this one I have here, I made use of 2 inches. So here now let's make use of 2.5. So that's there. Then I'll come down here to note from here. Let me use another marker. So I'm going to measure 2.5. This is here. Then coming to the other side here, I will mark 3 inches. Come here to 3 inches. Then connect with the straighter part of your curl. You see what we have. So for this very one, I made use of 2 inches here, 2.5 inches here. So that is it. We can cut it out. But first, let's talk about the yoke. For the yoke, we'll just make use of this upper part here. So this is the end of the darts for each side. So all you have to do is to just follow the bust radius and then connect it this way. And you see that? So we have a yoke formed. So the last thing now is to determine the neckline you want for the yoke. So here, if you want it to be high as possible, just make use of 3 inches, just as we did in the basic bodice class. Then if you just want it a bit lower, you can make it 3.5 or even 4. So I'm just going to make use of 3.5 by either 3.5 or 4. So it depends on your preference. 4 inches. So the neckline is formed. The next thing will be to add the shoulder seam allowance of 1/2 inch. So the yoke is formed. Now it is time for us to cut it out. The last thing is to add the 1/2 inch where necessary. You know, from our basic bodice pattern, we have added all the seam allowance to it, the side seam allowance and all that. So the point where we are cutting out the part you'll be adding 1/2 inch seam allowance. So here 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, inside 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, outside here, inside 1/2 inch, because you're going to add this upper pattern also to the yoke, 1/2 inch. So here now on the yoke, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. So we can cut it out. This is what the busted top we call for a plus size person looks like, and you can see that was so easy. I just wanted you to have the last view before we cut it out. First, let's cut out the yoke. So from here, so this is what the yoke looks like after this. What it looks like, you can see the cups, but in case you don't want something like this, you maintain this cup like this and just label this center C and this side S. But in case you want like the other style, all you have to do is to cut it out. So let's label it. This will be center 1, center 2. This will be side 1, side 2. So this is what you have. Then this upper part will become 1. This has to become 1. So all you have to do now is to get a tape, and then we just have to tape it up. Do is to make sure it kisses each other. You see that? Make sure you do not overlap it. So can you see, you now have just one pattern for the upper part. So this is what it looks like. Pattern just like from our basic bodice class. So here you just need to determine how low you want the top or dress to be, but the lower the better. So since it's having a yoke, from the upper part you can make it 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 depending on your preference. I'll just make it 10 inches. Yeah, this is the zipper allowance. In case you want to have loop, then you need to watch the previous video, which I'll put the link in the description box below. But for this, we'll keep the zipper allowance. So since we want it to be here, that's the zipper allowance. So we are just going to make it curve down here. So to make it easier, make a straight line towards the darts. Then I go using my pattern master. First, I have to come down by half an inch, just like we did for the front. The next thing we are going to do here is to make it a little bit tighter. So from the darts, just go in by 1/4 of an inch and connect to the main darts. So that is it. So now this is the yoke and this is the main top or corset. Now for this part too, we are going to decide the neckline for the back. If you just want it simple and normal, you come down by 1 inch from the nape measurement, and then we use 4 inches for the neckline in the front. So we are going to use the same thing here. That's for the wideness. This part has to be straight. So this is what you have. The last thing will be the 1/2 inch seam allowance for the shoulder. You already did all this in the basic pattern class. Good. Now let us just talk about few designs for the back. So you can just have from here, since if you want the normal one, if you just want to have a open back, you could just take it from this 4 inches widening straight into the main dress on top. So you could just have something like this. I'll use different marker for that. So straight to the zipper point here. So you can have something like this. So you could have either the main one or this type of yoke. Another one you could even have, you can have it straight. Then you see, just make it straight here. So 4 inches, this is 4 inches. So your yoke could be like this. That's another design. So that means all this will be cut out for the yoke, and you just have this for the yoke, or you could have this V, or you could just have this normal one. So it depends on your preference, but you can always walk around with your patterns. And don't let us forget our 1/2 inch. So come here, all others has been added, so 1/2 inch, half. We already added the zipper allowance. So let's just say we want this V, so we'll be cutting this off. But if you want the normal one, you'll only be cutting off this very one. And you see that. But let's use this. That is going off. So this is what you're going to have for the back. Can you see that's beautiful? So let's go through all the patterns. The front panel, and you can see that was easy. This particular one has to be on fold. Yes, all other one does not have to be on fold. This is the yoke, what it looks like. You place it on it, and this has become one. Then you have two, and then the side. Then another thing I just want to call your attention to is by the time you're sewing it up, this yoke will be left with some inches you have to trim off. Why is that? It's supposed to be free like a normal basic bodice, but remember we took out a lot of that here for it to be fitted. So at this region, at this chest and bust area, it is now smaller, it is tighter. So definitely it has to affect the yoke. So that is why you have some leftovers after sewing it up. So look at it, look at it, look at it. So can you see you're going to have some leftover here, which is normal. You shouldn't be worried about that. That was because of the dart we took out here, just to make it fitted at this region. So that is what it looks like. This type of design is what I have here. You can see this is for a plus size. That's it. You can use the caging method I used from the last class, but I'll be using a wording to make a part in the next video. Now let's see the back. See, so you can see the 1/2 inch where it will be added. So when you place this on your fabric, you had 1/2 inch to this part. Also for these ones, you had 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here, and also on this side. The zipper allowance has been included. Also for the back, you will have a little bit more at this upper part. That was because of the contouring we did at this region, just to make it tighter too. So looking at it, Okay, can you see? So you're just going to trim that off on your yoke. So if this tutorial has been helpful, please give me a giant thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I remain your girl Bilikis. Bye guys.